I wanted to start this video with some of the hate tweets, hate mail that I've been receiving from our faithful. Let me begin. You're not allowed to support Bournemouth. You're from Reading. Fuck off back to your town. Commiserations for your loss. That was following Reading's relegation to League One. Why don't you fuck yourself? You wanted Gary O'Neill. Iriola's a good man, doing a good job. You know nothing. You don't care. Go fuck off. Should it be up the rolls in all departments? Following a fantastic win against Burnley at Dean Court. Fuck you, Craig. Biscuits crumble. They do, yeah, they do. Readingers have always been the same. Don't like them, have never liked them, and I don't like this one either. Thank you very much for your kind correspondence. I think it's probably time to get on with this video. Hello everyone, and welcome to this show that I've wanted to do for a long period of time. You've already heard some of the lovely tweets and lovely emails that I've received throughout, a period of time since I've been a YouTuber on this subject. But I thought I want to address it. It's something that, I've always been honest about, never hidden. To be honest, it's nothing not to be proud about. I think it's actually quite a nice thing, this. Um, but let's go back to the rivalry. So there is rivalries, of course, in football. You could say Manchester United versus Liverpool and Arsenal versus Chelsea, and all these rivalries, Brighton Palace, Watford Luton, all of these rivalries. And of course, as well as our rivalry with Southampton, which to be honest is again quite a friendly rivalry, there is a rivalry between AFC Bournemouth and Reading. Now, like I say, I've never hidden that I am actually from the Royal County of Berkshire. I was born and bred in Reading back in 1985, 38 years ago. And I wanted to give a little bit of context because, of course, people do see things differently. Back in the -17 season and after that, when I wasn't so prevalent on YouTube, people that knew me would actually, it would be a bit of a laugh. It wouldn't be something that was nasty. It wouldn't be anything that was spiteful in any way. It was something that was like, well, he's originally from Reading. He went to watch Reading all those years ago, and it used to be something that was more comedic value than anything else. Of course, things have changed, and when you do go into this spotlight, people do take perceptions. People do look at you in different ways. And people do make judgments based on something that maybe they don't understand everything about. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. So let's take it right back to the beginning. I had a very, very good childhood, a privileged childhood, in fact. And my dad, my granddad always used to take me to the football. And football was one of the great things, and one of the things that I used to love doing with them. Um, of course, Reading at the time were at the old Elm Park, a ground which, to be honest, if it still existed to this day, would probably be a ground that you would expect to see in the non league pyramid, not so much the Football League or the Premier League. So, of course, it was humble beginnings. It was nice. It was nice. And of course, Reading nearly did get to the Premier League. Now, I was there that day, and I've always mentioned that. In fact, on even Bournemouth shows, I've discussed it with former Reading players, the likes of AD Williams and the likes of Dylan Kerr and the likes of Andy Bernal, who were all Reading stars at the time, about that I was there. And I've got a foot in both camps effectively. There's never been any denying that, and that's what is good, and that's what's exciting, and that's what I love. you know I think some people do, of course, make judgments on that and say, "Oh, you can't support both teams," but hear me out here. Hear me out. So, of course, I followed Reading through the move to the new Medeski Stadium. Of course, that new shiny stadium, which hopefully, fingers crossed, will have something very, very similar very soon. And I know that Bill Foley has got that in the plans. Of course, Reading, were doing very, very well. We're in the Championship, and then made the Premier League with the points record of 106. Now, that was a remarkable achievement for a football club that had always been, very much like AFC Bournemouth, a lower league club. Reading Football Club, again, were a club that bounced between the old Division 3 and old Division 4, very much like AFC Bournemouth did. And it was amazing. It was amazing, amazing time. I moved down to Bournemouth, and of course, you know, started following the local football club around 2008. Now, of course, in 2008, Reading were in the Premier League. AFC Bournemouth, we all know where we were. We was minus 17, and I thought it was going to be the shortest affiliation with a football club that I ever could have, because this football club that is in this new area that I'd moved to were on its knees. It was struggling. We all know the stories. We don't need to go over the stories again. Jeff Mostyn was warding off the bailiffs to stop them closing the club down. Gerald Krasner was about. Um, the club was struggling to survive, and at that time, we went through, of course, a dramatic shift. So, of course, the season started with Kevin Bond. And that's, in fact, the first manager I do remember at AFC Bournemouth. Then, of course, Jimmy Quinn. Now, Jimmy Quinn was, well, somebody who I knew so much about. He was actually a player manager, a player joint manager at Reading some time beforehand. And although he was a very, very good player, wasn't particularly the best manager, and so it showed here as well. And then a certain Eddie Howe come in and took us on the remarkable journey. And it's that you grow love for a football club. Then, of course, my children were born, And again, this was a moment in time where they grew up supporting their local football club, like I did, very much like I did. And my son and my daughter still to this day, follow AFC Bournemouth. And, it was great. Taking them to and from Reading wouldn't have been an option. It would have cost way too much at that time. And anybody who knows anything about, being a new father will know that you can't really afford to go up and down the motorway and, go to football matches all the time. So it was a special time to take my son, especially to football matches week in week out, and support his local club. Um, but not only that, it was the journey, and you grow a love for a football club. Even though I was from Reading, this football club become part of me. And although I would say that my Reading roots have never left me, and of course, when I'm at Dean Court, I'll always look, and the first team I will look at, of course, I'll be watching our game, is the Royals. And there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of people, in our fan base will know that they have, supported other clubs. What? And really, nobody should really judge this because we've all got different stories. We've all got different things that have happened to us in our life that have actually made people follow particular clubs. So it's okay to support Derby when you was a kid and then move to Bournemouth and support AFC Bournemouth. You could go the other way round and you could be an AFC Bournemouth fan but move somewhere else and start supporting somebody like Spennymoor Town. You could have been from Mansfield originally but then supported AFC Bournemouth. Again, nothing against that at all. You could even be from a whole different country. You could be from Scotland, moved down, and started supporting AFC Bournemouth. And again, that is more than acceptable. And I wanted to give my story because, of course, it was a story that, I come into play back in 2008 when the club was on its knees and, it was a club that, didn't have very much. And I'm proud to support this football club. I'm so proud to, you know, I've enjoyed the times that I have done with this football club, and long may they continue. We're on a remarkable journey. And let's be fair, this football club is going to need to attract more fans from outside in order to progress. Bill Foley talks about Europe. Why can't we get there? But to get there, we need more fans, we need more revenue coming through the door. And this is what is great about football is that everybody should be brought together. But unfortunately, sometimes in life, people are pushed apart because some context has been put in wrong from somebody who doesn't know their story. And that's why I wanted to address this. So, yes, I might have been from Reading. I had a very privileged upbringing, and I was very, very lucky to be able to do what I could do and enjoy what I enjoyed and support this football club, because I could have moved somewhere else, wherever else in the country. And I could have ended up going to, well, to be honest, I love football. Love football. So no doubt if I went somewhere else, in the country, I probably would have taken an interest in their local football club. But I chose Bournemouth and I'm proud I chose Bournemouth because this club's become part of me. And, those achievements, those celebrations on the beach, I was there. I was there. Enjoying those celebrations on the beach when Eddie Howe finally took us to the Premier League, which, let's be honest, when I first moved down, never ever would have expected in a million years. In fact, people probably thought I was mad for following this football club when my hometown football club was in the Premier League. But it's that love for football, and it's that love of achieving the dream, because Reading dreamt that dream all those years ago in 1995. That would have been a massive shock for football. And likewise, it was a massive shock for us to make the Premier League back in 2015. But it's not anymore. And it's that journey, and it's that, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So that is my story and how I become a Bournemouth fan. Moved down here at the start of that -17 season, started following this football club, and I've been here ever since. And of course, you know, I'll always remember my Reading roots. But of course, nobody has any right to judge, what anybody else does. And we can all enjoy, football for the game it is, and hopefully be brought together. Thank you again for listening to my story. And I really do appreciate all your support from the fan base, because I have had a lot of really, really nice comments. I like, do you know what? I like a little bit of ribbing about my Reading roots. Don't like the abuse, but the friendly banter. There is absolutely no harm in that. Up the cherries, up the raws. See you in the next video.